Welcome everybody to another devotional on Hump Day. I hope everybody's doing okay. I know we are going through some tough times right now, and I prepared a devotional that I was going to do today. It was entitled "The Mark of a True Christian," and I'll probably do it at some later date. But I felt compelled to, based on what's going on in the world today and in our particular lives, we all have been touched by it. We've all been affected in one way or the other in the family. I thought I would talk about my favorite psalm, and that is Psalm 91. You know, back in many years ago, like 10 or 12 years ago, we were on a camping trip, and I was with your Uncle Bob, and he was sitting outside of the camper reading his Bible, and I had just read, I don't know if I heard it in church or if I just was reading Psalms and came across it, Psalm 91, and he was getting ready to do a devotional. I said, "Can I read this?" And I just read it. I love this Psalm so much, and I'm shy, and for me to say I want to read a whole Psalm is saying a lot. So I did, and I read Psalm 91, and it's always been comforting to me. So over the last couple of days, I've been reading that Psalm, and it has helped me immensely to remember that God is in charge, and if we put our trust in Him, He's got our backs. And one way or the other, He has our backs. Doesn't mean that we're not going to see bad times. It doesn't mean that bad things won't happen, but He has our back. So I thought I would go over Psalm 91 and read it today. And there's a couple interesting facts I want to make about it also. And so let's dive into it. Let's get going. And we're going to read Psalm 91, verse 1. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. So if we dwell in the shelter of God, we will have rest. We will rest in the shadow of God. And that's comforting to me. It's kind of interesting that Psalm 91, verse 1, 911, just something I noticed and it caught my eye, but it's kind of interesting. But if we dwell in the shelter of the Most High, we will have rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. So he's saying here to put our trust in Him, and He will be our refuge. Surely He will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. That's kind of interesting. When I read this, I think yesterday, when I read it, pestilence, and I looked it up, and it's basically a deadly disease, a deadly virus. And I thought that was very interesting. And it also says He will cover you with His feathers. Does that sound comforting? He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. You ever watch a nest and a baby bird, and in the nest, and the mother has the wing out over the birds, protecting them? It's kind of a cool thing. You will not fear the terror of the night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys the midday. And if you take all four of those verses, another thing that I noticed in here is it says, you will not feel the terror of the night, nor the arrows that fly by day, or the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys in midday. So God is with us and watching over us as Christians and as His children 24 hours a day. I found that also very interesting. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. If you make the Most High your dwelling, even the Lord, who is my refuge, then no harm will befall you. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. I'm not real sure if we all have a personal angel, but I know angels are real. They're in the Bible, and they're talked about a lot. And how comforting is that to know that we have angels watching over us that he could call just like that to help us. They will lift you up in their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. I find this verse really fascinating because if you go back to Luke, where the devil, in chapter 4, verse 1 through 13, the devil is tempting Jesus. And he's like asking him to turn bread into a stone. Jesus is probably starving at that point, not having eaten for a lot of days. And the devil's trying to tempt him to do miracles to feed himself. And his last temptation, he told Jesus, go up on top of the temple and jump off. And he quotes this. He said, he will command his angels concerning you to guard you carefully. They will lift you up by their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. I just read that back in Psalm 91. Isn't that interesting? That in Luke, they're talking about the temptation of Jesus, and the devil's trying to tempt him to jump off, and he won't get hurt because of what's in Psalm 91. You know what Jesus says? He said, it says, do not put the Lord your God to the test. And we should never do that. We should never say, why did you make this happen to me? Or why is this happening in the world today? Or never testing, because they're happening in accordance with his plan and his will. But I found that interesting that the devil's trying to get him to do something right out of Psalm 91, since it's biblical. But you know what? The devil quotes the Bible on several occasions, and he never gets it right. Never. So back to Psalm 91, I'm going to read that again. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up by their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. You will tread upon the lion and the cobra. You will trample the great lion and the serpent. Because he loves you, says the Lord, I will rescue him. I will protect him, for he acknowledges my name. If we acknowledge his name, if we believe in him, and we have faith over fear, God will protect us. I believe that. I believe that because it says so in the Bible. He will call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him with long life, and will I satisfy him and show him my salvation. Isn't that a beautiful psalm? I mean, again, it's my favorite psalm, and I just love reading it over and over again. It just gives me comfort. And isn't that something that we might need right now? Is to put our faith in the Lord, in God, and not. Trouble today is that there's too many people that put their values in the world, that love the values of the world. And when the world changes, and it does change every day, we're seeing that then we begin to crumble. And unless we put our faith and put our value in God and our love in God, we too will crumble. So I want to quote another passage that I came across in Colossians 3:2. It says, set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on earth. If we just remember that one thing, to think of God and don't think of the world and the way it is today, we'll be much better off for it. Because God definitely provides comfort for us, and this psalm definitely provides comfort. So as the world gets darker and darker, which it has been lately, the church gets brighter and brighter. Keep that in mind also. So carry Psalm 91 with you. Read it. I want to challenge you all to read it. and hopefully it'll give you insight about how God protects us. Thank you all for listening. I pray for you guys every day, and I hope that God blesses you all. Keep on being awesome out there, and till next time.